So today's session is T-25 laptop hardware. Our main objectives is going to be to describe how laptop functions, similarity and different than a desktop, describe its function and components within the display of a laptop, and understand installing and configuring laptop hardware components. Has anybody ever worked with a laptop itself before and know what are the main differences between one and the other?
I can say I know half of them probably. I mean, I worked on my personal laptop a few times.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, so basically, yeah, laptops are the ones that are portable. Usually those are the ones that people use when they're traveling. Should have seen the original laptop. That looked like a big briefcase. I'm not sure if you guys ever seen those old, I think it was in an old Bond movie when they're carrying around a briefcase. They were pretty big. Much more obviously portable. So what type of motherboard would that one have? Would it have an ATX board?
No.
What type of motherboard may I find in there? Obviously, there's various ones depending on the model and the size. But if you could just at least shout out one or two models that are possible to have in there. Maybe the mini ATX? Taking a wild guess there. Anybody?
Maybe ITX.
Mini, micro, depending on the laptop itself, right? It's not going to be a regular ATX, we agree. It's got to be one of those other ATXs that we learned. Can we, do we know any or remember any of the ones that?
Yeah, the micro ATX, the mini ATX.
Mm-hmm. We need to know that because there's also the other ones, the macro, I think, and various other ones, which are for the mobile and or for kiosks. We should know these various motherboards and where they'll most likely be. All right. Next slide. Laptops versus desktops. Our main advantages, as we see, is that it is portable. It has special function keys that you must learn because they now have it. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it, where you can do search, you can change your display, pause, higher, lower your volume. Sometimes some of them have an extra key to do the function lock so that it just stays with the function button down. It has Wi-Fi, airplane mode, all these features that a regular PC doesn't have. Even some of them have rotating or removable screens and touch screens, right? It always has a physical lock cable capability. You'll see a little hole. If you ever wonder what that little hole is on the side that never has anything that you really connect to it, that's what it is. It's for the cable lock. Goes into that little hole, you lock it in, and then you could actually lock it down to a desk. I've seen people put it to the leg of the desk, which doesn't make sense because all I have to do is just really raise the desk and I can take the cable with me. But then again, disadvantages of laptop over PCs. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it, but a lot of times laptops, 9 out of 10 times, cost much more than a regular PC because of the actual unit itself. Obviously, for it to be more compressed and the technology and the size, the smaller, the more it costs. At the same time, you suffer in performance. You don't have the same as these towers or these desktops. You can't obviously upgrade it as much. There's not much you can do with these things. There's just so much limit. Same thing with the drop hazard and or power limits. A lot of these batteries die, their lifespan after a year because people didn't learn how to take care and how to charge it correctly. So Microsoft and other OSs have come up with stuff that you'll notice that it actually, even though you forcibly are charging it, it will actually go into a mode where it starts draining itself. It actually acts like if it's unplugged, and it lets the battery start draining so it can actually do its job, and then it cycles it over. So it has those features. Any questions in reference to laptops or desktops?
Function keys.
Yeah.
I have. You can get that on your desktop too, right?
No.
No, they're only for laptops.
You have function keys, normal function keys that are on regular keyboards. Now there is special keyboards that have also these function keys. That is correct. There is some of them, but a normal keyboard on a desktop has function keys, F1 through F12, but they don't put your computer to sleep. They don't stop your video player. They don't put it in airplane mode. They can't do all these things that are usual are on a keyboard of a laptop. I do agree. There is keyboards now that are coming out later on, keyboards that now are integrated with the function key, and they also have a Windows key. They have some extra keys, right? They have the little Windows key, and they have a little the
Yeah,
bar,
mine has the keys. Mine has keys.
the 3-bar one, the one that I think opens up like the menu.
Yeah.
So that all depends on the keyboard. The same thing, some of these laptops also have a condensed keyboard where it doesn't have the numlock or the numpad. I don't know if you ever knew this, but before, keyboards did not have that section of the numpad. That was actually added on feature that you had to connect to your computer. Now the keyboard has that. As for laptops, there is laptops that we wind up using the U, the Y, the U, the I, the J, or whatever, the HJK, and BNM or something like that to create the 7, 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3 because they're so small that the big keyboard doesn't fit on those laptops.
That's interesting history. That's good for me to know.
You didn't know that? A keyboard didn't
No,
have it didn't have a numpad before? It
I
was
love the
actually,
numpad.
yeah, the numpad was completely separate. I remember using it when I used to do data entry back in the 80s. Just having the numpad on the side with the keyboard, regular keyboard.
I'm very happy the numpad is still alive. I love the numpad.
Yeah, I used to cost more just to have that. Any questions or doubts on this slide? Let's continue on to the next slide. Slide 6. Here's the various types of laptops. It's Lázaro, if you could help us read out this one.
All right. Types of laptops. Laptops. A small portable computer similar to a desktop in function, components, and hardware. Notebooks. Similar to a laptop without the integrated DVD/CD drives and generally weigh much less for better portability. Does not have the excessive cooling capacities due to processing being significantly lower. Netbooks. Quite small and are basically built for web surfing. Very low consumption of power. Is that like a Linux kind of thing? If it's
Netbooks are the real small laptops. Usually they don't have a DVD in it. And those are really the ones that you wind up don't even having a numpad. You've probably seen it as the X, I believe the X series of HP has very, very small ones. It's the smallest
like,
ones. They're like 11-inch or 13-inch the most.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think my mom had one and it was horrible. Anyway, sorry.
But they're very, very small. They're the smallest laptop that you can have. Here's,
Okay.
let me show you some pictures here. They usually don't come with and see how it flip out, it's very skinny and small. They don't come with a notepad. They don't come with a DVD player. They don't come with anything inside. Basically,
Oh, they're actually bigger than I think they are. But wait, that's the let me see. That's the notebook. I'm talking about the netbook.
the netbook is smaller than the notebook because it doesn't have a DVD or any of the other extra things. The notebook also doesn't have a DVD, but this one's smaller. I'm saying it's like 18. I mean, instead of being 13, it's like 8, 11. It's very, very small. It's the smallest ones that are out there. Smallest.
Okay.
It's a laptop. All of them are laptops. Don't get it confused. They're all laptops. They're just
Okay.
letting you know a laptop is the one with everything in it. It has the keyboard. That's the big keyboard. It has the numlock on it, or the numpad, sorry. The notebooks, just you take out only the DVD. The other ones are much, much smaller. They're the smallest laptops that you can come up with.
Okay. All right. Got it. Then the next part is Chrome and tablet. Chromebooks can look exactly like a laptop, but runs on the Linux-based Chrome OS. Super fast for internet and streaming, and can run Android apps. Tablet PC hybrid. Touchscreen computers that can work with a keyboard as a laptop or independently as a tablet.
Thank you. Here's a close-up picture of a netbook. See how small it is? Can you see my screen?
Oh, like a Microsoft Surface, right?
No, because that's a pad.
That's a
Microsoft
pad.
Surface is a pad. Yeah. Then they got the Microsoft Surface Pro, whatever, the one that's like a computer. It's actually a computer and a pad together. But this here is really the smallest laptop available. Has a hard drive integrated and everything. It's not like the Chromebook, which doesn't have a hard drive or anything like that.
You can find them on wish.com.
Cheapest you can actually buy.
Netbooks are just to go like on the internet.
Yeah, they don't have too much power. You wouldn't be using this really for too much stuff. The ones that would be using in corporate America most likely would be laptops and notebooks. Netbooks are really not used much. You might give this to a child because they're cheap, obviously. They're cheap and they're small. Next slide here, we have the desktops. Both have the following components. Obviously, we have a motherboard, a CPU, heatsink. The only difference is the size itself is much more smaller than the form factor. It's basically a much more tighter fit. You can see here even the fan, everything much smaller. Any questions on the motherboard size and or its layout? That's the case itself, or the shell, whichever way you want to call it. Here comes again the memory. So instead of being the actual DIMMs, you have the SO DIMMs and micro DIMMs, which we learned in the previous chapters. The same thing, the hard drive, instead of being this big one, is this little one of 1.8, much smaller. Some of these have the actual little trackpad, and some of them have the little doohickey here. Usually that's an IBM in the middle. They put that there. Any questions on the mouse pad or the little mouse thingy? This thing sometimes irritates the living daylights out of everybody because since it's so big and some people do not know how to type or even play the piano, you're not supposed to rest your palms. Your palms are supposed to be actually up in the skies. It's supposed to look like a spider typing. A lot of people rest their palms, so this palm thing starts irritating the living daylights from the mouse moving all around. So you might want to actually deactivate this if they have an attached mouse, or activate this guy while you deactivate this guy, depending on the person and how they like it. But a lot of these people that don't know how to type, that mouse thing actually irritates the living daylights because it starts clicking away where they don't want to click. Specialized hardware for these laptops. We have docking stations. I don't know if you guys ever heard of these things. Express cards, batteries, power adapters, cable locks, biometric authentication, which is horrible, and your function keys. Anyone ever use any of these? Obviously batteries and hopefully power adapters, right?
I've used well, I definitely use the fin keys, but I also use a docking station before.
Cool. Docking stations now come in two flavors. You have, I'm not sure if they're going to go into that, but they also have a thing called a port replicator. The docking station is this big guy here where you actually dock on all your cables. This would be for a home office or a regular office. All your cables to your monitor, to the LAN, everything go into the docking station or a port replicator. As you can see, this is a port replicator, not a docking station. Completely different. Everybody see it?
So the replicator uses the seed bolt, right? I meant like not the seed type, right?
A docking station is
Replicator?
completely specialized for the actual computer. A port replicator, from my understanding, can go into a USB.
Oh, okay. So I'm getting them both confused. So the docking station is uh,
The
what
docking
is the
station,
difference?
it actually has a special connector. I'll show you now a port replicator. He has on the bottom of the laptop, if you lift, what type of laptop you got?
I
You got
have
IBM?
a
That an IBM
no.
XE there? What is that? HP?
Actually, let me see. I don't even know the
A
brand. It
lot of
says
the new ones do
oh
not even.
Levo. It's
Who?
Levo. Levo?
Lenovo. Lenovo.
Then
Lenovo.
Lenovo. Yeah.
Lenovo is Dell, I believe. But a lot of the
Yeah.
new ones don't have the actual any more capabilities of going on to the docking station. You've probably seen it on the bottom of the laptops. You see this little gold connector on the bottom of the laptop. It actually goes on top of this and seats itself in. Only that type of laptop can go into that docking station. Some of them allow two different types of models, but it has to be from the same manufacturer. So IBM, and as you can see, this one from what I can see there is an IBM, has its own specialized docking station. These puppies cost a lot of money. Versus a port replicator, which I'll bring up now into my screen over here, is a cheap version. He has the USB where he connects and he replicates all ports here. So you could actually connect your network, all of this with ease and leave it here. As you can see, it takes up no space on your desk. It's much cheaper because now I could use it on any computer. As long as I have a USB-C connector on my computer, for instance, in this port replicator that I just showed you a minute ago, it allows me to connect it to any computer and replicate the ports. While this guy here, no, only that computer model can actually use the docking station. Any questions or doubts?
Okay, so docking station is it's a more overall kind of station designed for a specific laptop, and the port replicator is literally just replicating the dock station, except that it's cheaper, smaller, and is usually not actually dockable.
It's not dockable
Right?
at all,
Not
ever.
dockable.
It's not dockable ever. A port replicator is a port replicator. A docking station, you dock. That's the one you dock onto. Port replicator only replicates ports and it comes in by USB. Plugs in.
Got it.
Any questions, doubts? All right. Slide number 2, Pablo. Or slide to 11. Specialized 2 slide.
All right. Specialized hardware express card. It was designed and supported by the PCMCIA, the Personal Computer Memory Card International Association, sometimes called PCMCA cards. It provides special slots to add functionalities like network cards for wired or wireless networks, sound cards, FireWire controllers, USB controllers, flash memory adapters, TV tuners, and hard disks. There are two sizes, Express Card 34 and Express Card 54, that connect to the PCI Express Plus or the USB 2.0.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys have seen these PCMCIA cards before, but the PCMCIA cards were very useful little puppies. This is the ones just like if you had a PCI slot on your PCIe slot on your regular tower. This little card slides in, and with ease, you could have yourself a wireless card if you didn't have built in, Bluetooth, USB if you didn't have extra USB. You could even have serial ports, anything that you didn't have on the laptop. These cards can create those ports. Basically, you just buy that PCMCIA card, that type. Even Ethernet ports, believe it or not, at one point or another, some of these laptops didn't have Ethernet port. They only had a modem on the side. So then you can just slide in the PCMCIA card, sorry, and just then put your cable in with these. In essence, extra slots to add more functionalities that you didn't have available. I haven't seen that much, so that capability anymore. I haven't seen those cards for a while. I don't know if you guys have, but I surely haven't. Have you guys seen a PCMCIA slot card before? I mean, recently?
I think I've seen one before.
I think I may have had it, but in my computer 10 years ago, though.
Yeah, that sounds like him right there. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, that seems quite revolutionary. I wonder why that didn't catch on.
Why? Well, it stayed for a long time, but nowadays most of these computers already have the USB ports in it. They already have many other things that they can connect. Plus, nowadays, if I want a Bluetooth and I don't have it, I connect via USB. I buy the little doohickey and I connect the USB, Bluetooth, Ethernet through USB, all that through USB. So that port just became obsolete. You got USB 3 and USB 2. I believe it's equivalent to USB 2, the speed, more or less. So it just became antiquated. Just as soon as anything gets old in computers, which takes what, like
Yeah,
about
and
a
then
year?
you could have a docking station and have all those ports on one thing.
Yeah, exactly. You either buy yourself a port replicator, which is usually what's going on nowadays, or if that laptop has a docking station, you can buy yourself a docking station. Next one for specialized, Jordan, read slide 12.
Manufacturers over the years have used a few types of batteries to allow portability of laptops for long periods without recharging. The most common were nickel-cadmium, nickel-metal hybrid, and lithium-ion. Today, only lithium-ion is used because it provides the highest energy density for the weight and has few problems with external factors.
Yeah, the old ones used to die a lot. And I think they also weren't very environment friendly, if I recall, compared to these. Not that anything's environment friendly. Next one. Laptops use adapters. Fair warning. You'll be surprised how many people go and do this. These little things tell you exactly how their polarity is. It's very dangerous. If you lose this adapter and you go to Radio Shack doesn't exist anymore, does it? You go to any of these locations that you can buy yourself your own aftermarket. Obviously, it does convert from AC to DC. At the same time, we need to know how the polarity is. Not only the voltage and the amps that are coming into this unit, we need to know the polarity because we're going to mess up something. If expecting positive polarity versus negative polarity, you're obviously going the wrong way. Está entrando por donde debería salir. Just doesn't look very pretty. Exit only. Any questions? Doubts? Here's our cable locks. As I mentioned, you got the ones with a little combo. Those I always love because it only takes me a little while by the time I can actually take it away. Versus this one here, which is a specialized key. As you can see, it has a specific hole and it takes the whole desk. Do not put this on the leg of the desk. If you put it on the leg of the desk, the person only needs to lift the table and take off the hoop, and he can take the cable and the laptop all with him. This is training for users because you'll be surprised how many users, when you give them the cable lock, that's what they do. They don't actually use the specialized hole to lock it in, which means that they got to take the whole table with them versus they just put it onto the leg. If there is no hole, then you bought the wrong thing, obviously. You should have bought something else. And or you get PE, which is plant engineering, to come and make a hole. Another option is to actually, if the table has a hole on the bottom or on the back panel, just wrap the whole table coming across. There's no other choice.
I have a question. Isn't it easy to break off the cable or even the lock itself?
Break off?
Yeah.
This here, back here?
Yeah, especially that.
We gotta
Couldn't you just bend it
understand,
out?
this cable, if I really want to and I'm ready to go, all I have to do is bring a bolt cutter. I don't gotta do anything else. I just come with those specialized scissors and I'm gone. Can I break this? Yes, but if I break this, I have a very high risk that I'm gonna damage whatever the laptop motherboard component there, and then it's gonna be useless to me if I'm trying to steal it, right? I mean, can I break it? Yeah, it's a piece of plastic with metal there. I'm pretty sure if I hit it with a hammer, I could probably break it off. Anything can be done. Trust me, I've seen, I've worked with companies where a gentleman went into the building, broke, basically the door was shut, locked. And the door that he actually kicked down was security's office manager's door, kicked it down, went in, ripped out that laptop, and ran out while people were just looking at him in shock. It was at lunchtime. There wasn't many people there. And obviously, they weren't about to argue with the guy that came in that nobody recognized and kicked down the door. You don't want to be messing with crazy people. So one of the features that they have is encryption for laptops, which we will be covering later, where it is a must for laptops to all have encrypted drives to avoid information being stolen. Obviously, that the actual physical component, we can't guarantee that, but as for the contents within, at least we can guarantee that not being stolen. Next one here, Christina, can you help us out with slide 15?
Specialized hardware biometric authentication. Some laptops come with some type of biometric detectors to perform personalized authentication. Example, log in to the laptop using your fingerprint instead of a user and password. Some of the most common biometric devices found as part of the laptop or that can be connected externally are facial recognition cameras, fingerprint scanner.
Yeah. The good, bad, and the ugly about these guys, fair warning, unless if it's gotten any better over the years, the fingerprint scanner isn't as good as we expect. Anyone know why?
I know many reasons why. One, it has a really high, I think it's called false negative or false positive, where it just accepts people when it shouldn't accept them in.
That's right.
You can copy the oil and then use that oil print to get into it. That's a very common one. You can literally photocopy it and it will work on some of them.
Yeah. So it's got a very high, what they call rate of exception. There's an error rate of exception and an error rate of denial. And unfortunately, since there's a lot of users who their finger is big or some other things that are going on, they have actually hired it to a point that you can be falsely accepted, and you shouldn't be falsely accepted if you're not the person. And or vice versa, you can get actually frustrated where it is you and you're putting your finger in it, it's falsely rejecting you, which is very annoying. Obviously, I'm pretty sure the high-end ones that military use with the either the facial or even the optical scanners, I don't think they're going to be using too much the fingerprint scanner thing. Any questions or doubts on the biometric authentication? And that would be something I am, right? Something I am, something I have, something I need, or I know, sorry. Okay, our little buttons of specialized function. Depending on your laptop, every single laptop has its own little stupid button features. Well, not stupid, but great little features that allow you. Even like I said, some of them have an extra button to function lock. So they've actually done it backwards, where I don't know if you guys use F1 through F12, but I am accustomed to using F1 through F12, F1 for help and various other function keys allow you to be used within these applications. So they actually, inside a laptop, they've done it where it's backwards, where it's actually stuck to play, to stop, to fast forward, to higher your volume, and or whatever idiocracies that they decided to add onto this keyboard. So I have to go and actually hit function and hit function lock because I do use my function keys for what they're meant to be. So obviously you have dual displays features, wireless, volume, all these features as you see here are available depending on the manufacturer and what they want to give you. There is regular keyboards, as Lázaro has alluded to, that you can buy aftermarket, which even let you do the exact same things. But obviously you have to have the drivers for those keyboards for it to work right. Next, actually, it's 10:21, guys. I'm gonna pause here. We still have halfway to go. Go ahead and take your 15-minute break. Let me pause it here or stop the video.
Diego, you gave me PTSD when I first got my laptop, and I couldn't.
In reference to physical ports, we have various ports that are available depending on the manufacturer himself, but obviously these are the different flavors. The power is a must. Obviously that will be in all of them. But as for any of the other ones, pick your flavor, they may be missing depending on if it's a notebook or for Chromebook or a laptop or a netbook. That's where your actual variances in the amount of ports that you can have. Any questions on the variances of ports and or?
I see that they have Ethernet and telephone. Does that mean the telephone is?
The telephone is what?
I'm looking at the power slide. It has Ethernet 45, and the telephone is a RJ11.
Okay, you're sounding like a robot to me over here. Give me a second. Is anybody else having problems hearing him? Or is it just me? I think it's me. Give me a second.
It's a little slow for me, like connection.
A lot of people have internet issues today.
I was having some internet issues in the morning. I wouldn't be surprised it's coming back.
Here we are. Sound a little bit more stable. I heard something about RJ45 and RJ11. That would be alluding to, then I take it you're referencing actual telephone port and or Ethernet port that it has, right?
Yeah, like, is that like actual it is, or is it like something else? I see interesting how it labels it.
Well, that's an Ethernet port there, that one. If you notice, even it has the 3 little computers next to it. But there is some laptops that have a telephone port for a modem. Completely different port. RJ11, right?
Like a very well, no, DSL doesn't. I just find it strange that it just says telephone line, so I'm just thinking it's just using the old dial-up.
It is.
Or
Dial-up.
it is?
That's what it is. The telephone is old dial-up, a modem. It's a modem.
Oh yeah, the definition of a modem is just translating analog to digital.
It's just an analog connection to the world. That's all you have with a telephone port. There is no there's no Ethernet or token ring running on that. You must connect via telephone line, old POTS line, plain old telephone systems. Can you everybody hear me? All right, cool. Let me try one more time sharing with, see if it doesn't freeze on me again.
I'm not sure why, but my screen is very fuzzy when I look at you though.
Yeah, mine too.
You look
But
at
it's-
me.
Yeah, your screen.
All right. Paul. But you can see, you can still follow along on your Nearpod without a problem.
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
Okay. So if there's no questions on slide 17, let's go now to slide 18. Here are some more physical ports. Depending, obviously, again, on the actual vendor, you will have various flavors of these things. You have the HDMI display ports, Thunderbolt, CD, DVD. You have microphone, headphones. All these are basically the actual physical ports, depending on the models.
What is a super drive?
8X super drive,
Yeah.
8 times fast. That's still a CD-ROM that I'm aware of. There's a 16 times fast. There's 8 times fast, 4 times fast.
It's a DVD reader? It's an optical drive?
I'm aware of.
Oh, okay. Because I'm looking at it, I'm like, I thought that was like some weird indent on the laptop.
No, that's I think I'm not sure if it's on the on Apple they call it super drives or who calls them super drives, whatever. But the speed is what they're mentioning is 8 times fast compared to the original CD and DVD players. This one's 8 times faster, 8 times faster, and I believe double layered on both sides.
And then what is the lock slot? Is that an actual part to put the lock, like a physical lock, or is that something else?
The lock slot, yeah, that's where the lock goes. The cable
okay.
lock. That's the cable lock. Any other questions? Next slide, we have here the actual adapters. As I stated before, you'll see here there's various USB ones now that are available. That's why we don't have the PCMCIA card anymore. Everything's basically migrated to the USB port. You can have Bluetooth, you can have RJ45 Ethernet, you can have a little Wi-Fi for if you don't have built-in Wi-Fi, or even an optical drive for those netbooks and or small laptops. We are on the last one. Yeah, page, not the last one, but the last one for this area, page 20. Anybody want to tell me what slot 1 is?
SD card. Slot.
Hmm?
The SD card. SD card.
Everybody agree?
I agree. It does look like an SD slot.
You can't see it very good, but we do agree it has to be for one of those little cards, right? It's not, it doesn't look big enough for a PCMCIA, but we know it's for a small card, right? We agree with that. So whatever options we have on available, as long as we know which ones are the small little slots, and hopefully they only give us one of them, right? Well, there's 2 of them, right? There's a little one there, a real little one, and then there's this one here, which seems a little bit bigger. And if I can see it right, might be saying SD. It looks like 2 letters there, so I'll take SD. Lack of a better thing there. Next one.
That's the Ethernet port.
Everybody agree that's an Ethernet port? RJ45 Ethernet?
I agree.
Yeah.
And we can tell because of what? A little triangle of computers, right? There's 3 computers right there. So if I had any doubt if that was an RJ11, it would have a little phone icon. You would actually see a phone to represent a modem. What's this guy here? Number 7. Oh, sorry, number 3. We skipped 3 there.
That's a VGA port.
All right. What's number 4?
Power supply.
Everyone agree? Power?
Yeah.
Yes.
All
For a
right.
second.
About 5. What's 5?
USB.
Huh?
Looks like it's generation 1 or 2 USB port. Hard to tell.
That's
Go with generation 1, at least USB. Okay. What's number 6?
That'd be the 3.0. USB 3.0.
All right. And 7?
HDMI.
Yeah, right. HDMI. We look carefully, even the little icon there looks like the HDMI icon. Any questions, doubts? Let's move on to the next slide. Displays, features, and functionality overall. Pablo, can you help me out with this slide?
Yeah. Display features and functionality. Oh, can you hear me? Okay. The evolution of displays allowed the creation of laptops since it is an integrated part of the device. It is one of the major contributors to the overall cost of the laptop. The display of a laptop contains multiple components: the screen, inverter, digitizer, Wi-Fi antenna, the webcam, and microphone.
Thank you. Any questions on this slide? Why an inverter?
It's probably one of those really old monitor screens on the laptop, like an old LCD.
Yeah, most of them have LCD panels, yeah. Right? That's the inverter inside.
Like backlight, right?
For the backlight, correct.
You said
Next
correct,
slide.
right?
I'm sorry?
You said correct?
Yeah, I said correct. That is correct. It is for the backlight. Inverter, if that goes back from DC to AC to make sure that the backlight has the AC to be able to accomplish its job. Next one here, Carlos.
Display features, functionality, screen. Most laptops offer a range between 10 to 17 screens, Almost all laptops nowadays have an aspect ratio of 16.169 or 1610. The typical resolutions are XGA, WXGA, WSXGA. The most common display technologies used in laptops are LSD, liquid crystal display, CCFL, backlights with fluorescent lamps, TN, cheaper with lower power consumptions and fast response, IPS, but better color representations and wider angle viewing, LED, backlighting using diodes with lower power consumptions, OLED, like lighting using organic diodes, better image quality.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions on the actual display technologies?
Quick question. On the book, it mentioned that there is no laptops really that has the organic LED, but in the test they do mention that. Is that you think that's correct?
Organic LED is not available in a lot of the laptops yet. That is correct. But is it available if you want to pay for it? I'm pretty sure you can find a high-end OLED laptop right now. Is it common? No. Remember, OLED costs a lot. That's 4K right there. 4K technology for display, not 4K as in $4,000 of. God only knows how much a laptop costs, but the OLEDs are being used a lot on the television, right? That's the organic liquid LED, right? Where we torture plants just so that we can have the pleasure of seeing things. Poor plants. I'm gonna call PETA. I'm gonna create a new PETA, but just for plants. You guys gonna fund me?
Yeah,
No?
you just had to be.
Just put up a GoFunder. We'll see.
GoFunder. I'm gonna sue the OLED. See how much money I can get on behalf of these plants and their feelings. Next slide. All right, for our inverter, DeAndre.
Inverter. LCD backlights, specifically fluorescent lighting, require fairly high voltage, high frequency energy. The inverter is responsible to provide the right kind of energy. It transforms DC into AC for the backlight. It is not recommended to change the inverters on a laptop since it could be very dangerous. LED and OLED screens don't require inverters. Digitizer. Device that can be written or drawn on, and the content will be converted from analog input to digital images. When built into the display, it might be the glass of the display itself, or it might be implemented as an overlay for the display.
Thank you. Any questions or doubts on this slide? I'm pretty sure we're kind of familiar already with from our previous chapters of displays, what the inverter does and his job. Doubts. So we wouldn't have an inverter though on a regular LED or the OLEDs since they don't require that. But as for the LCD ones, yes. Next slide. Alexa.
Wi-Fi antenna. Laptops that include built-in Wi-Fi have a wireless antenna running through the upper half of the clamshell case. This is to get the antenna higher up and improve signal reception. The wiring runs down the side of the display and through the hinge of the laptop case. Webcam and microphone. Webcams and microphones are universal on laptops today. The most common placement is right above the display. Most laptops with webcams have a small light to the left of the lens to illuminate the user when the webcam is on. Microphones can also be built in the bottom half of the clamshell.
Thank you. Any questions or doubts on the antenna or webcam? Hey, look, they use the word shell. Ha ha. Can't call me old anymore. There you go. Next one. Who can I pick on now? Teresa.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Care and maintenance of LCD. Guidelines for cleaning and maintaining an LCD display. Clean LCD panel with a soft dry cloth. Use compressed air to clean keyboard, trackball, and touchpad and to blow out air vents. Remove keyboard if keys are sticky and then blow hair under keys. While the panel itself is removable from the lid, it is only replaceable. Never open a display panel.
Okay. Any questions? Or doubts? Nobody? Any questions or doubts? What they're talking about here?
I'm reading that one where it says never open a display panel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the panel itself is removable. But you don't open the panel. What they're talking about is when you take off all the screws, let's pretend this is a laptop for lack of a better thing. When you take off all the screws and you actually take off on your laptop, you take off that outer shell, right? There is a screen inside. Inside this thing is a screen. You're not going to open the screen. You will take out that whole screen and they will give you another screen to put in. You would never take apart the screen. That's like taking apart a monitor. As for taking off the shell or the case on the outside, that you can do. You can clean what's here. You can take off the little shell, everything around here. But as for taking apart the panel, the actual LCD panel, you don't do that. What's the inside of it? It's a whole unit. It's a thin unit inside this shell, inside the case.
Got it. Thank you.
It's liquid crystal, so it get pretty nasty if you try to take that apart. Next one, 26. We'll go with DeAndre.
Okay. Safe handling guidelines. Never hold a laptop by the lid or screen. Always carry a laptop with both hands. Never immerse a laptop in liquid and protect from inclement weather. If the laptop is not a touchscreen, do not touch the screen. Always use a case when transporting. Protect from overheating by keeping on a flat surface. Never put on a bed or a pillow as it will block the vents. Always close the laptop carefully from the center of the lid. Never slam shut. Never clean the laptop with anything scratchy. Use a soft cloth without cleaning solutions.
There's plenty of little soft cloths that they sell out there that are meant to clean screens. Please, whatever you do, don't use Clorox or some other cleaning solution. As for not touching the screens, yeah, that really is what they mean. Don't touch the screen. If it's not touch screen, don't start doing this to the screen because that's not going to help. It's liquid crystal. So it's, if the more you push on it, the more likely you're going to damage that area. As for overheating, you'll be surprised how many people I have found putting it into a pillow or putting it on top of something to try to make themselves comfortable because they don't want it. It shouldn't be on your lap, first of all. If it's on your lap, you're pretty much smothering them. If you like, just put duct tape around your nose and your mouth and see how it feels. Lázaro, because I know it was you.
No. I actually have. I used to have those those like fan pads.
Oh
Okay?
yeah.
I kept my laptop in good condition because I have a 13-year-old laptop, okay? Running good, okay, with the same battery, the original battery. So give me some slack on the laptop part.
All right, we'll stop teasing you about torturing computers. For
Oh
now.
no, I don't mind. Trust me, I did. I overclock all of them.
But bottom line, yeah, these are things that we need to learn. As for holding it with both hands, oh, users scare me when they're with a laptop and you see them with it and they're just holding it with one hand. Obviously, if you're holding it as a briefcase kind of thing where it's under your hand, pretend again this is a whole full laptop. If they're holding it like this, they might as well have a case, right? It's depending where they're going and stuff like that. You got to be very careful with these things. As soon as they drop, you got about a 90% chance that screen getting cracked or more,
I
depending
learned the hard way.
depending on the actual distance from the floor. Next slide, 27. Jordan.
Troubleshooting laptop display. Problem: black ring around picture. Solution: run in higher resolution. Set display to fill entire screen. If you have dead pixels, return if still under warranty. If you have fuzzy text, run in higher resolution. Enable clear type. Display properties, appearance, effects. Go into display properties, appearance, and effects, I guess. If it randomly shuts off, change refresh rate, or open msconfig and stop any services currently that may be taxing the system. If you have a black screen on startup, check video card or start in safe mode, then check drivers.
Okay. Any questions on troubleshooting laptop display or doubts on this page?
What is it exactly referring to randomly shuts off? Like the computer shuts off or just the screen?
Just pretend that the monitor is blinking his eyes.
Okay.
So basically,
That
all of a
makes
sudden you
sense.
see a black screen, a black screen, a black screen, all of a sudden. The refresh rate, like I said before, the refresh rate is that invisible line that's coming down that your eye really can't see. So if the refresh rate is incorrect, you'll start seeing all of a sudden it just completely turns black for a second or two, or even less than a second. But it looks like if the monitor is blinking his eye at you. Lack of a better explanation. Any questions or doubts? All right. So, next slide, please. Who haven't I tortured lately? Christina.
Configuring hardware and components. Most laptops have recovery partitions that can restore the computer to factory settings. Diagnostic software can help configure system issues, built-in utility programs, online server-side diagnostic programs, model and serial number stamped on the bottom for manufacturer identification.
Yeah, they stamp those puppies in there because they need to know when you call them. Usually there's even a service tag number on some of these things. Instead of saying the model number, you just give them the service tag number. Same thing when you go to the websites. They won't even ask you sometimes for the actual serial. They just might ask you for that little service tag number that tells them everything. As for the restore, that is a great feature to have, obviously, on these computers, because if something happens and you want to restore it from factory and you have a backup, these puppies come with their own little partition to be able to restore. A lot of them don't even come with a CD anymore. It used to come with a separate CD, but now it's just built into it. Any questions on this slide? No? Yes? Maybe? Phil? Next slide. Okay. And let's go with Carlos. I'm missing somebody.
Replacing internal components. Most common components that can be replaced are RAM and hard drives. Other internal components like wireless adapters and video cards are harder to replace, but sometimes possible. Removing external hardware safely. Remove hardware icon. PNP components can simply be disconnected.
Thank you. Any questions or doubts on this slide? Everybody understand what PMP means?
Plug and pray.
Yep, plug and pray. Obviously, it's called plug and play, but we always call it plug and pray just to pray that it works. For you guys don't get that option, and then I get in trouble. What's PMP? Oh, that's plug and pray. Yeah, look at it. No.
Amen.
You got something to blame me on, right? Next one. Let's go here, Daniel.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Okay, so upgrading or replacing memory. Locate memory socket. Most are on the bottom of the laptop. 2, use ESD safety protocols before touching any components inside. 3, open cover as shown in image. 4, remove existing RAM and insert new module, being careful not to touch the board connection. And 5, replace cover and boot. Notice changes automatically configured.
Yeah. Just like on a regular computer that we need to be careful on what screws we're taking off when we're taking off the actual outer shell or the casing itself, right? These puppies have specific screws with specific little drawings on there. There's drawings of a keyboard, there's drawings of memory, there's drawings of the actual case itself, different little pictures next to each screw. So only take off the screws that correspond to the part that you want to loosen. You're not going to take off every screw under this laptop. In this case, as we see in the actual picture, it has only one screw. So if I would put the little lid on, I bet the bottom dollar that there's a little picture there pointing to the screw that looks like a little memory module. All right? As soon as you take this off, then with ease, you'll be able to get into this area and it has the little doohickeys on the side to be able to take out the memory. Now, that's the easy one. There is some laptops that have more space. And unfortunately, that's in the other side because this is the bottom side of the actual unit. And if you'll notice, your license is also here. That's your Windows license sticker. So some of them, if you want to put more memory and it does have more space, it's actually under the keyboard. So you got to take off everything, including the keyboard, to get to that spot. Not very comfortable spot to get to. That's not all of them, but there's some of them that do have it there. But the majority of them have that easy access to add more memory here. Questions? Doubts? Next slide. Justin.
Hard drive. Read documentation before starting, as some HDDs are in an easy spot while others are buried in the laptop. After locating where the disk is, disconnect data cables and remove the component. Place the new hard drive in the slot and reconnect data cables. Enter BIOS to confirm new drive is working, then install the OS if needed.
Thank you. As we see here, what they mean by the data cable, I'm pretty sure some of you are shocked, and if you ever replace these suckers, usually you don't have to worry about it. But you see this little cable here? It's similar to what your IDE cable is, but it looks like a piece of tape. And that little sucker has to go in here. This looks to be the one that you have to take off the case. If you notice, that's the keyboard there. You have to take off the top of the case, and it looks like it goes in through the inside. Versus, there's a lot of them that maybe from the outside, all you have to do is just really take off the screws, and he slides out like a PCMCIA card. Just comes right out. Those you don't have to worry about because the casing that's in the inside, it has the cable already aligned or the spot where the data cable comes. So when you put it in with the carriage, because it actually has a little carriage, when you put it in, it'll slide in like a tape and lock right into its spot. All you have to do is just screw it on so it doesn't fall out. Be careful because a lot of people forget to put the screw. It turns on fine, but then when you're shaking or something, that hard drive can slide out. Any questions or doubts on this slide? So why would I remove the hard drive?
Upgrade maybe went bad, or maybe you want a faster. Many options.
And we have to be careful on the size of, and obviously the type of drive that we're getting, right? Because if the size of the drive is just too many gigs and the motherboard or the operating system is not gonna actually work with that, we just wasted our money, right? Next one. Well, technically not wasted our money, but yeah, we wasted our money. You can partition the drive, right? If you partition the drive enough parts, the OS may understand the parts, but it won't understand bigger than, I think we said for 32 bits was what? I'm not going to tell you the answer. I was about to.
4 gigs.
That's the maximum. Is it 4 gigs or 2 gigs? That's memory. I think you're talking about memory. I'm talking about partitions.
Oh, partitions. Oh.
I think the memory is 4 gigs. You are right. But for partitions, I think it's 2 gigs. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Now you got me going. Next slide.
A limitation of how many partitions you're gonna have.
That too. All that on the older operating systems, the size and the amount of partitions that you can have are limited.
Do we need to know that for the exam?
Not for 1001, not that I'm aware of. For 1002, that's when you're dealing with operating system. Right now, we're only dealing with hardware on 1001. All right, next slide here. We have Pablo.
Got the tear down and rebuilding procedure. We got bullet 1, use a manufacturer's documentation. Use the right hand tools, organizing and documenting. Then back up important data if possible. Ground yourself against ESD. Remove express cards, CDs, DVDs, flash memory cards, or USB devices, and then shut down the notebook. Disconnect AC adapter. Undock if necessary and remove the battery. Follow manufacturer's documentations for tear down, making sure to document and keep organized with everything removed. Screws, connectors, and components. Rebuild working backwards through documentation. Boot to ensure proper connections were made.
Any questions or doubts in the tear down and or rebuilding procedures for laptops? What's one thing I should do when especially if I'm not familiar with anything that I'm taking apart?
Pictures.
Yo.
Lots of pictures.
Yo. Darn tootin'. I better take pictures, especially on these laptops, bro. You'd be surprised when you go in there and then all of a sudden you're looking and you're trying to say, where exactly did this go? Also, we got to be very careful. As I said, the cables in there are as thin as tape, and they will rip like tape. They're that easy to break. So we have to be extra careful with these data cables that are in there. Not that I broke any. Fair warning. If you want to learn like me and Lazaro the hard way, just take it to heart. You need thermal paste for CPU, and you need to be careful with these cables. Next slide. Let's see who's going. What's my app going to tell me now? Alexa.
Accessing a laptop system board. To access components such as the CPU and graphic card, and possibly one or more of the memory slots, you need to disassemble the laptop. The general process is as follows. Those root to be aware that you need to obtain the specific steps for the brand and model of laptop you're upgrading or repairing. Make a backup of data stored on the local drive, and as you would for a PC, lay out your work area with any tools and reference materials you will need, and take anti-static precautions. Disconnect peripheral devices and PCMCIA/PCI Express cards and eject disks from drives. Disconnect the Turn the unit upside down, make a diagram of the screw location. Open any compartments on the underside of the laptop and remove the FRU. These should include the hard drive, memory, and possibly the optical drive and mini adapter cards also.
Okay. Any questions or doubts on the accessing laptop? Everyone understand what a FRU is?
Field replacement unit.
That is correct. It's a field replacement unit. Doubts? Let's go on to the next slide. Here's that on slide 34. We could see that little tape, like I told you. Even the keyboard itself has that little tape peripheral that goes towards the actual motherboard. All of them have a different head on the end. It's not like if they all have the same amount. All of them are different. So what's a pain in the butt is that if you don't notice where you disconnected it from, and if you don't notice how it's folded, it becomes a very big pain in the butt to fit everything back. So we need to obviously be taking note of everything and when we're touching everything. Carlos, can you help us out here with this slide?
Accessing a laptop system board. Remove the screws holding the chassis together and put them somewhere safe. 6, flip the laptop over again and remove the plastic bezel at the top of the keyboard. This might be difficult, but take care not to snap it. 7, unscrew the keyboard and partially lift it. Carefully disconnect the cable that attaches to the motherboard, then fully remove the keyboard.
Thank you. So we just got to go and look on the bottom, as I stated before. All of these have these little pictures next to the screws. Look for the screws that correspond to the actual keyboard. If I can't find anything for the keyboard, then most likely I got to take the shell keyboard, the shell ones. But I'm pretty sure they should have something marked for the actual keyboard. And this one here for the Toshiba, I recognize this one. So after I take off the screws, this kind of slides or snaps out of place there. And then you slide it back in and snap it into place and then put the screws back on. Depending, again, we need to see the manufacturer's book. They will tell you exactly how to take this out. Unless if we already know from previous experience, I would not I would not recommend trying to take apart a laptop without having the manual of how to take it apart. Everybody's different. And there is nobody that is exactly the same. Obviously, except for the exact same model. Questions or doubts? Next slide. 8 through 11. Let's see. Daniel. Daniel?
Sorry, I had my thing. Accessing a laptop system board. Similarly, unscrew or unclip the palm rest and touchpad assembly. Disconnect the signal cable and lift away. You may also be able to access the speakers at this point. As with other components, you need to disconnect the signal cable as well as the speakers themselves. Disconnect the LCD cable and LCD power connector connecting the display to the motherboard. There is also likely to be a cable connecting the radio antenna running around the screen to the wireless adapter, and lift off the display. If you need to replace the display, unscrew it from the lid, then screw the new panel in its place.
Okay. Pretty self-explanatory. Any questions here in what they mean by signaling cables and or any other components that they mentioned here? All right, so we basically need to take note, right? Because we're going to be taking off these cables. All the signaling cables, as I stated before, are the cables connecting directly to the motherboard. So if we don't label and or take pictures of what we're doing, when we put in the new motherboard, we're going to have no idea what goes where, except for hopefully it's still nearby the actual location where we disconnected it from. Questions or doubts? Next slide, 36. DeAndre.
Accessing the laptop system board. Remove any internal drive cages or heat pipes covering the components you want to replace. As with a desktop, make a careful note of how fan power connectors are attached.
Thank you. So we take a picture, we make sure if we're not familiar. Also, take note, the majority of these screws are different sizes. This is not like a computer where a lot of the screws are exact same size where then I can just laugh because I mixed them up. No, that's the reason why they give you the little bucket, usually on your little toolkits of absolutely no screws in there or extra holes for no screws, because you're gonna have the external screws. Those are going to be in various of sizes, and your internal screws are going to be in various of sizes depending on where it's located. So if we get it mixed up, it's not going to work. We're going to wind up at one point having a longer screw than what we need. Because the worst part about it is, if I recall, all of them have the exact same threading. The length of it is different, so that means that when you put it in, if it's meant for a big screw and it's a small screw, obviously it's gonna fit, but then you're gonna get left with a big long screw that meant to be somewhere else, maybe on the bottom, that's coming all the way up to the keyboard, for instance. Any questions or doubts on this slide? Next slide. Jordan.
Laptop hardware scenarios. Select a partner and move to a comfortable place in the classroom. You will pass out a scenario. Should you just skip this one?
Nope. You should have it in Google Classroom available. I'm gonna pause recording here.
Yes.
So, how did it go?
I'm fine.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So can anybody share out maybe in one of these scenarios that you guys were reviewing? You guys get to review at least the first scenario from either team A or B. A client shares that he is streaming music from his computer to his surround audio, but he doesn't like the quality. So what resolutions did your team come up with?
We said maybe he's too far away, and the signal's poor. If he's using like Bluetooth or something.
Okay.
And maybe his internet is slow, and it's just like choppy.
Could be also. Any other suggestions we may have? If it's wireless, we can go wired, right? Also, some of these, not all laptops, but we can, what else can we do? Something else I can do, right?
Those speakers, high quality speakers.
Yeah, but if I'm only giving stereo, right? If I go to a regular port and I only have stereo, what can I get that'll give me what he wants? What does he want?
High quality. Maybe
No,
like an 8.
not high quality. Not high quality. He really mentions. He mentions one key word in there.
Like an HDMI cable.
A client.
Sounds like a good sound card.
A client shares that he is streaming music from his computer and his surround sound audio. Does stereo give me surround sound? Does
No.
all right. So now that we got that out of the way, that means the port that I have on the side, which shows the little headset, is stereo. We all agree? It's not surround sound. It's only left and right channel. Therefore, as Lázaro just alluded to, get a specialized audio visual card, maybe with surround sound integrated via USB one or a PCMCIA card, and put that puppy in there. Now he's gonna have the capabilities to connect it to his surround sound system. Make sense? Or no?
I guess I would be considering if whatever you're streaming to doesn't already support surround.
Well, remember, we're looking at the limitations of the laptop. Complaining about the laptop itself doesn't have this feature. It's not able to do it, right? The quality is not coming out right. We agree that one of the features may be that if it is, that is the distance, bring it closer, maybe, if it's Bluetooth, surround sound or something with that. But if he's lacking that, the only other thing he needs is the actual card of surround sound. So if it's built in, we need to fix something that's built in. If it's not built in, we need to get something to be able to allow him to actually use surround sound. Second one, client shares that she will be using her computer for her graphic design job, but the computer is running slowly and she is struggling to see the small visual details on the screen.
To fix the slow running, she should either close any unused programs, possibly check her memory, and to assess the visual details, she should check her screen resolution and up it if she's allowed to.
Yeah, if her screen can't take it, one only other thing I can tell her is recommend an external monitor, right? Make sure that her laptop has multiple core processor to handle what she's asking for, because she looks to be an AutoCAD user, right? Needs the high-end video for maximum RAM. So if the laptop doesn't do any of that stuff, we need to make sure that we either the feature and or recommend a better laptop that will actually do it. Questions? Doubts? Number 3, a client is working as an editor for film documentaries, and she needs a laptop to be able to do her work on location, but she keeps getting messages that her disk is full. Wild guess, anyone?
Oh, we said upgrade either her hard drive or transfer some of her data to a backup device or have some type of cloud thing.
Space, in other words.
Yeah.
If the cheapest one would be to right away is delete unnecessary files, move everything to the cloud that she doesn't need to have there, just to free up space. Obviously, we also stated she needs 30% minimum. Oh no, actually we never mentioned that. I don't think so. But now you know. For operating system, in case if I haven't said that, in hard drive space, you need about 30% minimum also, just like in the power, I think was the one that we said. The operating system itself needs about 30% or 20% space to be able to work. As soon as you get under there, it starts degrading and becoming very sluggish, the operating system. I believe we're going to learn that in 1002. So either clear space, delete unnecessary files as soon as possible to get her up and running, and obviously eventually upgrade her to a larger hard drive if necessary. It sounds like it, because if it's completely full. Number 4, client is a college student who needs a laptop for class, but also plans to use it to play games. He wants to make sure he gets a machine that can handle both.
I got a pretty beefy one for that one. Depending on what the client really wants, I will
He
recommend.
wants to game. He wants to play games. We always go for the highest quality of what he wants, right? So we need to make sure the college student, we know it's a normal PC, so there's no intricacies or little things to look into that. But as for play a gamer PC or a gamer laptop, for instance, what does he need?
Okay, well, the reason why I say that because there's new laptops that come out with APUs, as the AMD's integrated graphic card and the graphic card, and it's important for him to know the difference with them. In this case, I would recommend actually getting a laptop that has a dedicated graphic card, not these integrated.
You need something with a specialized video card and GPU, correct? Graphic processing unit.
And
Agreed.
it's high end, so he doesn't have to compromise with a sound card because a lot of times it's hard to get a good sound card on most of these motherboards. So you can save a lot of space with that because space is going to be a big issue. After that, he needs to also make sure it's good cooling. Most laptops are fan cooling, so you have to make sure it has a good fan and airflow. After that, you need a good CPU. You always need a good CPU for gaming, and also anything that a gaming PC does will translate very good for any thick client applications, and maybe some more as well.
Okay. Any other suggestions from anyone? Everyone agree? Number 5, a client bought his computer a few years ago for work, but now he wants to use it to screen movies at home. When he tried to do that, he became concerned about how to update his computer. I guess that's a home theater PC is what they want. Yeah, that's what he wants, right? He wants to see movies, so it'll be that HTPC, the home theater PC. What should we do?
I think there's only two things he can really do, unless, well, three things if he wants to do 4K. But in this case, I'm pretty sure it's just going to be a better disk drive. Make sure it's an SSD, good one, so you can have the data, run the data quickly when you want to watch videos. And if you have a lot of applications.
Would a home theater PC need an SSD drive?
No, it's not a need, but it's an easy upgrade.
Agreed. But we want to go by the book of A+. What would be the requirements that he needs? If it's a home theater, we agree then this would be, again, requirements of surround sound, right? That's one thing we need to check. Second would be, hopefully he has HDMI output, right? So he can go to these new TVs. A tuner, right? Add a tuner onto it, because if he wants to use it for home theater, it will be that computer, the one that's going to be able to do everything. We think of anything else that has to be inside that laptop? I don't think so, right? That's about it. So those are the must-haves in there, I think. And you mentioned the other ones, right? So, I don't know about a hard drive, though. I don't think they really mandate a hard drive.
The reason why I say that is I know people who have like so many movies and videos.
Agreed. Yes, you need space,
but for the
but you don't need SSD. You don't need SSD per se.
Got it. So the A plus is basically sound cards, good adapters, so you can actually use the media. That's the primary thing of a movie theater.
I would double check again the actual configuration PCs and look at what are the mandates that they have. Obviously, there is nice to haves like an SSD drive. We all agree it will obviously run faster and better. But do we really? Is it a mandate from them? We need to double check. I can't remember. I don't think so, because I remember that the gamer PC, I think it was, and the audio visual editing PC is the one that really they kind of put it in the notes. Don't quote me on that one there. But we could double check. Any other suggestions? Last one, I think, right? There's a sixth one here. Yeah. A new college student is trying to decide whether to buy a laptop or a Chromebook. She is tight on cash right now, and most of her classes are done through Blackboard and Google. Anybody know who Blackboard is?
Yep, it's a system that I use at Miami-Dade to like access all my classes, including the classwork and submitting and like assignments and things like that.
Agreed.
I
So
had one when I was at
it's a
PD as
website.
well.
It's a
Yes.
website, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
For those that haven't used it, it's Blackboard is a solution that they have for a lot of these universities, similar to Salesforce. Is an app, a thing that's out there available for users to use for different various things. Blackboard is meant for the education. You can see, I think, even your grades, what you turn in, everything. If I recall, from when I took some classes recently in university, you pretty much see everything. Even your schedule is in there, if I recall correctly. Everything's in there. Prego. As long as you're assigned to the class, you're able to see everything. Similar to Google Classroom kind of thing, but it's different. Any questions or doubts?
I believe you can also
What
like
should I have?
video chat there as well.
Who?
I believe you can also video chat there. I'm not sure if I'm right.
You can do video chat.
Yeah, I think so. Video chat or audio conferencing, I believe it had in there too. Mm-hmm. Has nice features. So where should we get him? Or her? Is it a boy or a girl? I don't remember. It's a girl. She's tight on cash. All she's going to be using it is just to look. It seems to be only.
Well, it says here since the college student is tight on money.
Yeah,
I would get a laptop.
I would recommend the Chromebook since it's cheaper.
I would say a laptop because you could use the Office offline and you don't have to be connected to the internet to use it.
Agreed.
And not only that, you can get the office thing if you're a college student for free. So you can use it for free.
Yes. Yeah. But will I save money? She's very tight on cash.
I think the key word here is that she says she mostly does Blackboard in Google Classroom. So that's like online stuff.
Exactly.
I personally want to get a laptop.
Agreed.
If she's that tight and a Chromebook, which is not doing very good, I guess they're selling it at a discount. Just, I don't know, throw that out.
Yeah. Well,
Really that cheap for a Chromebook versus a cheap laptop, though?
But buy the book from what she's telling you. You can't tell me what you would like to have. You got to look at these questions. When they throw these questions at you, don't give me the Mercedes-Benz answer. Give me exactly what they're looking for. If I'm asking for my Mercedes-Benz, I hope you're giving me my Rolls-Royce or my Mercedes-Benz because that's what I'm asking for. In this case, she says she's very, very tight on cash. And she's only using it for Blackboard and Google Classroom.
I just don't know how much the price difference is between a Chromebook and a laptop because you could get laptops really cheap. So that's why I'm asking how much is a Chromebook?
I mean, I'm looking right now and the prices vary a lot. Like
I can get a Chromebook for $200, $181.
That's how much I bought my Chromebook for.
So now, if I go into laptops, not the little ones, not the notepads, not the little things. Laptops are up around here, $600 and above, $800. If you're serious about laptops, usually they're over $1,000. You look at any Apple, you're looking at over $1,000 usually.
You get one for like $300.
I agree, but the $300 one, it wouldn't be what I want if I want a laptop. That's the cheapest version of a laptop. For that, I might as well go buy myself an iPad.
But iPad's way more expensive.
No, it's $300.
Yeah, but it doesn't have a keyboard.
Hey, I know what you're saying, but I'm just trying to be facetious. In reference to laptops, the cheaper it is, I guarantee you are about 2 or 3 years in technology behind. If it's cheap, it's because it's old technology.
You
Anything
can
that,
enter a raffle for $1 and get a laptop and pray.
yeah. But if you want a good, look, here's the latest one, i7, 2,399. Another thing, in reference to the one that she's gonna get, Chromebook, since she's using it only for that, she can actually go to Google and go to Google Docs, and it'll give her Excel for free. It gives her Word for free. It gives her all of the suite, basically, from Windows for free. So therefore, since she is tight on money, everything's free. We agree that she will be able to use, if she's registered to a college or university, a lot of them have already the license for the students. At the moment that she is no longer with that school, her license most likely is no longer good. She will lose her license. So then she loses Word, she loses Excel, she loses everything. Any questions or doubts? Keyword there was tight for money and really wanted to save money. So we obviously explained to her the choices, but from what she's explaining, that's what we would have to recommend, unfortunately, is a Chromebook, because she's deciphering between the two and she's tight on money. Make sense? I think we were almost at the last slide. Yes, yes, we are in the last slide. We are almost finished. One. No? Nobody.
Two.
Sesame Street people,
Sesame
come on.
Street.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm
Where
here all
was
day. I'm here all day. Thank you, DeAndre. And now that you're unmuted, you might as well take on the first question. On the DeAndre, don't pretend I'm not talking to you.
Wait, what'd you say?
I said, now that you're unmuted, you can take on question number 1 on the last slide here. We have a laptop docking station does which of the following?
All right. A, allows the user to synchronize mobile devices with additional hardware.
So a docking station will sync my phone?
No,
Okay.
it's like an adapter, right?
I put B.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Somebody pick B. Because
Yeah.
the first one is telling me that it's synchronizing with other mobile devices. That means it would sync with my iPad, my phone. The docking station will help me sync with all those other mobile devices. I don't think we said the docking station does that. I got another vote for B. The B states it allows the user to connect one device to a monitor, a network job, and USB printer. Does everybody agree with that one?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds more like it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other, what's the other feature that if I don't have a docking station, what's the other one called?
Port replicator.
That's correct. The port replicator is the one that mimics exactly what a docking, well, not exactly, because some of them don't have everything that a docking station has, but they are come in different flavors. You can have one that just gives you the network drop and maybe the monitor and a USB, but there is ones that have all the ports that you have on a port replicator, even a parallel port, for instance, for printers. Any questions or doubts? Number 2, Lázaro.
Number 2, let me, oh, hold on. I always lose it. Here it is, number 2. Oh, I'm so happy I got this one. Which of the following is a common type of biometric authentication on a laptop? I'm gonna say blood sample. No, I'm just joking. A and E, facial recognition and fingerprint.
I would quit my job if I had to give a blood sample every time I got. I don't know how diabetics do it, but imagine if you had to go, ow!
Fatal price.
That would suck. Well, that's one way to guarantee it's you, right? You that or got to be a warm blood, because if not, they're gonna kill you and use your blood to get in.
That would be human resource nightmare if you have to do that.
You're getting sued sometime later, right? Christina, next one, number 3.
Which of the following is not a recommended action you should take before replacing or upgrading a component in a notebook? D, as in Delta?
Yeah, connected to a port replicator if available. We should definitely not do. We should back up the data. We should remove everything, right? That's definitely the one that's incorrect. Thank you. Jordan, number 4.
What might be a simple solution for a user having a login problem on a notebook computer when the user is certain she is entering the correct username and password? B, caps lock is on, make sure it's turned off.
ID 10T errors, huh? Everyone agree?
I agree.
All right. Number 5. Carlos.
Hold on, let me look for it. Hold on. Which of the following is not true about notebook computers? Let's see. I'm gonna go with A.
That's not true. It doesn't have unique cases. All laptops look the same. Everyone agreeing that all laptops look the same? There's no different variants. If you don't agree, can you tell me what it is then? If I see some people shaking their heads.
E,
I think it's C. Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, C, sorry.
C, okay. On all models, the hard drive is always in the same place. Well, that's definitely not true. We just saw that in one of the slides. It can come in different spots. So that's definitely not true. As for components tend to be not interchangeable, we also said that each of these motherboards are different, so that they tend to not be the same size and or location. So then therefore you cannot put them back in, and that they use less power than desktop. Yeah, that's darn tootin'. They lose less power because there's more compact and less energy being wasted there. That pretty much wraps up our session for here. Any questions or doubts on this session?